So this PhD project explores how we can take a youth perspective on play and making. It explores how young people play and make, with what play qualities they relate to, and how we can design for them. The project adopts a constructive design research approach to examine how we can educate playfulness and a playful approach to making in a maker environment from the perspective of young people. It strives for generating knowledge about how a playful approach to making can enable young people to connect in an inclusive, collaborative maker community that enhances young people's making. The last 10 years, makerspaces have become popular in Danish society, especially in school context. Makerspaces are used as learning environments where children and young people can experiment with materials and can acquire STEM and other 21st century skills. While the number of studies that have explored the maker movement are growing, there is a lack of research about how young people experience makerspaces. Makerspaces have got the attention of a wide variety of institutions and organizations from different contexts, inspired by organized possibilities, often with their own agenda, script for development, and expected outcomes. Through this institutionalization of makerspaces, the makerspace as a child or youth-centered community which enhances experimentation, improvisation, and unruliness, drifts into regularity, certainty, and orderliness, promoted by institutions. Many makerspaces struggle to foster and sustain an inclusive and collaborative community, and it's unclear from the existing research under what circumstances such collaboration succeeds. It is important that young people can bring their own scripts into makerspaces and imagine what they would like these communities to become. Furthermore, there is an absence of research into exploring a youth perspective on making. In my work, I see and experience a kind of disbalance or struggle with young people 12 to 15 years old. We tend to say that they don't play as much as children do, or they lose their creative confidence. When I get older, I notice that this leads to more instructive approaches instead of an explorative approach, which is concerning. I believe there are more constructive ways to empower young people, and there still exists a vague focused and methodological development on youth, especially regarding to an understanding of how to take a youth-centered perspective and design for play with and for young people. We need to understand in what ways and through what practices young people play, and we need the right lens to see this. We need to redefine youth-centered perspectives, methods, and theories, and be curious towards how young people play to be able to design for play with and for young people. This PhD project is contextualized within existing approaches to making, understanding makerspaces as both creative and social communities. This project adds a novel contribution by emphasizing and exploring a playful approach to making from a youth perspective. At the same time, this PhD project raises a critical awareness towards the tendency within institutions to emphasize learning and specific outcomes through processes of making. This PhD project deals with two types of research questions. The first has a character or basic knowledge and answers questions on how young people play, make, and how they experience makerspaces in both institutions and leisure context. The other type are design methodological research questions and on how we can develop youth-centered methodologies which support playful making among young people. The project's methodological approach is based on research through design, in particular constructive design research. In design research to practice, Koskinen presents the term constructive design research, in which construction takes place and becomes the key means in constructing knowledge. This is important when exploring playful making among young people. From the start of this course, I've been interested in the drifting approach from Koskinen and Galko. They describe drifting is what every designer does in every project and what every design researcher does in every research project. By drifting, they mean those actions that take design away from its original brief or question and lead to a result that was not anticipated in the beginning. It is a conscious process that happens intentionally and depends on certain epistemology and asks for a flexible way to understand shifts that characterize design and design research. I had some issues describing my methodology because things kept changing. I stumbled on new papers and research that inspire me and could potentially provide a different method or perspective on my project. I had conversations with people that made me formulate my questions differently. I had observations in the field which pointed at other possibilities of framing the research, etc., etc., etc. In the light of Koskinen's and Gail's work, this can already be seen as drifting, where I already starting with the methodology continuously externalize and manifest ideas, hunches, and concerns that talk back to myself and collaborators and stakeholders. I try to communicate that drifting process in this slightly confusing but insightful slides. So I would like to present a model to describe how I'm planning to stage experiments through design and how my practical way of working is related to my theoretical grounds. This is the knowledge relevance model presented by Koskinen and Gailko. The model enables me to continuously map and remap my research activities as a conversation between hypothesis construction, experimentation, and evaluation, assessed in relation to both knowledge theory and impact, in the ambition of being relevant and producing knowledge. In this slide, I only used one model, but quickly I discovered it made way more sense to use multiple models. My physical assistants, we will now hand them out. Thank you so much, you're the best. So one is about fostering an inclusive maker environment. One is about how we can design a pedagogy of play inside makerspaces. And the third one is about youth-centered methods and how we can take a youth perspective in design and design research. So Gal and Koskinen presented 5 forms of doing design experiments in research through design. I believe, looking at my own project, the 3 different areas of my research ask for different approaches, but they will all influence each other and establish a conversation through material where I will be continuously mapping and remapping my research activities based on a conversation between hypothesis, experiment, evaluation, relevance, and knowledge for all 3 of them. I will follow the different context, playful practices, and practices of making. This means that empirical material generated during the design process and experiments across context will contribute to knowledge about makerspaces and playful making as a broad phenomenon among young teens. For example, I could start with an experiment on what play means for young people. This could evolve into different comparative experiments that focuses on youth-centered methods. This again could lead to speculative design approaches that then again could inform play experiences in makerspaces, which could finally inform guidelines or probes to design a playful, inclusive maker community for youth. So this was said by Peter Gall, and especially looking at the project from youth perspective, this captures for me the essence of what my project is really about.